So you're trying to launch a private label cosmetic line.
And you're aiming for that true organic certification.
Right. And, you're facing this incredibly complex, high-stakes process. The market is just saturated.
And regulatory targets, they're always shifting.
Exactly. And the entire integrity of your new brand, everything, it just hinges on finding the right manufacturing partner. You just don't have time to wade through all the noise.
That's absolutely right. And that's our mission today, really, to cut through all of that complexity. We've taken the source material, this really comprehensive buyer's guide.
It even includes a vendor RFP framework,
Yeah.
right? And a decision rubric.
It does. And we've synthesized it all into a clear, actionable roadmap for you.
So we're really defining the search here. We're not just looking for, someone to fill bottles.
Yeah.
We're looking for a genuine long-term co-creator.
That is the essential distinction to make right at the start. A strong partner has to be a co-creator, someone who actively protects your brand, accelerates your launches, and manages all those evolving international standards. We're going to give you the structure you need to vet and secure exactly that kind of partner.
Okay, let's jump straight in. I think we should start with what is probably the most confusing part for most people, establishing that core credibility.
The alphabet soup of certifications.
Exactly. We're talking COSMOS, EcoCert, Natru. If you don't get the nuances between these, you are just setting yourself up for misaligned claims and maybe even some really costly regulatory problems down the line.
Absolutely. So starting with COSMOS, it's generally seen as the baseline, especially if you're targeting the EU market.
The clean beauty market.
Exactly. The consensus from experts like Dr. Maya Chen is that COSMOS offers a, quote, robust, widely recognized framework. It covers a huge range of personal care, and it's very strict on organic content, banned substances, and traceability.
Okay, so COSMOS is about traceability, ingredient purity. But then you have EcoCert. What's the real difference there? It seems similar.
It is. They cover a similar breadth, but historically, EcoCert puts a much stronger emphasis on the ecological and social criteria.
So it's broader than just the ingredients.
Precisely. EcoCert is perfect if your brand strategy is to blend that high organic content with, say, social and environmental goals, hitting multiple ESG axes.
And when we say ESG, we mean things like labor ethics, sustainable sourcing that's not just about the farming, even the carbon footprint of production.
Exactly. And that's why, as Lucia Moreau points out, retailers often love EcoCert. It's that integrated approach to sustainability and supply chain ethics. It tells a bigger story.
Got it. And the third one? Natru.
So Natru. This one leans more into a natural-first narrative. It's often for niche segments, especially color cosmetics, where getting super high organic percentages is just technically very difficult.
So it's more about the natural origin of the ingredients. A bit more lenient, but still credible.
Exactly. It's a claim that doesn't hinge solely on maximizing that organic percentage.
So what's the key action point here for you, the listener, regardless of which one you pick?
You must always audit the certificate itself. Don't just see the logo and pick the box.
What do you mean by audit it?
You need to verify the renewal cadence. You need to confirm the restrictions apply to their processes. And, this is critical, you have to confirm whether the coverage is batch level versus product family.
Okay, that sounds like a tiny detail, but I'm guessing it's a huge deal. Why is batch level so important?
It hides a massive risk. If a certificate is just for a product family, it means the formula can be certified. But it doesn't mean the specific batch you ordered actually was.
So if there's a recall...
If there's a recall or an audit fails, and you can't produce a batch-specific certificate of analysis, you could invalidate your entire brand claim. It's a catastrophic financial risk. It's a massive liability gap.
And that liability gap isn't just a compliance problem, it's a production problem too. So let's talk about that. Let's move from the standards themselves to the actual R&D and formulation strategy of a potential partner.
Right. So looking at R&D, you basically have two models, in-house and outsourced. And the best partners often blend them.
What are the big pros of in-house?
Control. It's all about control. Direct development cycles shorten your lead times, which means better speed to market, and it offers much stronger IP protection for your unique formulas.
But I have to ask, on the IP point, how realistic is that? Isn't there just as much risk of a chemist leaving and taking that knowledge with them?
That's a great question, and it's a real concern. The protection isn't absolute, but it is better when it's developed and housed under your own controls. Plus, with an in-house lab, you embed quality assurance right into the timeline, stability testing, preservative testing. It all happens right there.
Minimizing rework. Okay, so when is it smart to outsource R&D?
Outsourcing is smart when you need flexibility or really specialized
Like
expertise.
a specific kind of green chemistry or something?
Exactly. Or maybe you need to get regulatory clearance in a complex market, say in Asia. An external team might already have that specific experience. It also lets you handle bursts in demand without raising your fixed costs.
So when you're evaluating a partner on this, what are the concrete things to look for, the readiness indicators?
There are 4 non-negotiables. 1, they need on-site labs. 2, a robust formulation library you can draw from. 3, documented stability testing programs.
And the fourth?
A clear assurance that their testing maps directly to the standard you chose. So COSMOS, EcoCert, or NATRU. That integration is just vital for reducing your risk as you scale up.
Okay, so that brings us to the operational core. The manufacturing floor, traceability, compliance, the stuff that makes or breaks your brand's integrity every single day.
This is where brand longevity is really built. For an organic claim, your traceability has to be, well, forensic. The partner has to track every raw material from its origin right down to the finished product.
And that documentation has to be at the lot or batch level for every single ingredient.
Every single one. It's not just nice to have, it's essential for risk management. If one batch of an organic oil is bad, you need to know exactly which finished products contain that specific lot number. It makes recalls precise instead of catastrophic.
And beyond that precision, you also need stability in your supply chain.
Absolutely. The sources stress the need for alternate supplier readiness. You can't let volatility in organic sourcing, which is common, disrupt your whole product line.
Or worse, force you to compromise and use a non-certified ingredient.
That would be a disaster.
And moving from sourcing to compliance, it's so important to remember that safety and labeling are not one size fits all.
Not at all. A partner who's great for the EU might be completely unprepared for the US market. You need to know they can manage the nuances of EU cosmetic regulation, FDA guidelines, and those very specific post-Brexit rules for the UK.
Which trickles down to the product level, right, with mandatory safety testing.
Yes. You have to mandate stability testing, both accelerated and real-time, to make sure the product works until its expiration date. And for anything with water in it, you need robust microbiological testing. It's a must.
And the foundation for all of this.
Good manufacturing practices, GMP. It is absolute table stakes. This means the facility has documented standard operating procedures, SOPs, and clear batch release controls. You need that full product dossier, those COAs. You need that audit-ready evidence for your certifications.
And beyond the basics of GMP, how do you measure efficiency?
Lead times, of course,
Yep.
but also a very specific metric, changeover speed.
Changeover speed.
How fast they can clean and prep the lines to switch between formulas or between different types of packaging. Faster changeovers mean faster time to market for you. It's a huge competitive edge.
This all brings us to what might be the most valuable tool in the source material for you, our listener, the decision framework. How do you take all of this, all these requirements, and turn them into a real quantifiable comparison?
You need a structured RFP process, a request for proposal, and a scoring rubric. This is how you move from abstract capabilities to measurable data.
The sources outline a 5-step workflow for this. Step 1 is the needs assessment.
Right. You define your markets, your product categories, your absolute non-negotiable certification goals.
Step 2, vendor outreach. You ask your shortlist for a data room, download their capabilities, their MOQs or minimum order quantities, and some initial price ranges.
Then step 3, which is pivotal, sample evaluation. You get test batches, you get labeling mock-ups, and you assess everything: stability, packaging compatibility, and the sensory attributes.
Does it feel right? Does it smell right?
Exactly. Then step 4, if you can, site visits. Go and see their clean room practices, validate their systems in person.
And finally, step 5 is the final scoring and negotiation. You apply that rubric you've built and you confirm the commercial terms.
And speaking of that rubric, the weighting of the criteria. This is probably the single most important strategic insight from this whole deep dive.
I agree. It's fascinating.
So the scoring system uses the standard 0 to 5 scale, but it assigns weights based on strategic priority. And the highest weight at 15% is for certification and compliance.
Scope, documentation readiness, regional recognition. That makes sense.
Then you have capacity and lead times and ingredient sourcing and traceability. Both of those are weighted heavily at 14% each.
So stability and the ability to scale are almost as important as the certification itself.
But here's the kicker. Here is the market reality that tells you everything you need to know about where this industry is at.
What's the lowest weight?
the pricing model, and total landed cost. It's assigned a weight of only 3%.
Wow. 3%. I wonder, is that low weighting a reaction to past failures, like huge recalls, or is it being driven purely by all the new regulatory pressure? It seems so counterintuitive for a business.
It's a reflection of both, but it's primarily about risk mitigation. The rubric is telling you that the cost of failure in compliance, in traceability, in supply is so astronomically higher than any savings you'd get from a low unit price that it almost makes price irrelevant in the initial selection.
So you're basically paying a premium to ensure you don't face a multi-million-dollar liability down the road.
A brand paying, say, 10% more per unit to guarantee they get batch-level COAs and rock-solid IP protection is essentially buying very cheap, very effective insurance against catastrophic risk.
Which means your commercial negotiations should focus more on flexibility.
Exactly. Flexible MOQs. Transparent pricing, so you see not just the unit price, but the formulation charges, the add-ons, and, of course, IP protection.
You absolutely have to mandate documented protections for upstream formulations in your contract. That is just non-negotiable.
And finally, don't forget sustainability is a strategic lever here. Packaging choices are just as critical as your ingredients. Look for high recycled content, explore refillable systems, and, this is important, diversify your packaging suppliers to avoid bottlenecks.
Okay, so if we synthesize all of this, it really boils down to 3 core actions for you today.
1. Prioritize partners with a demonstrated documented track record in organic certification and strong quality assurance. Don't just take their word for it.
2. Use that structured RFP rubric early on. Use it to focus on process control and collaboration maturity, not just the unit cost.
And 3. Document absolutely everything. Keep detailed records of your testing results, change controls, packaging specs. That documentation is your fastest route to navigating an audit or responding to a recall. It is the ultimate insurance policy for your brand's integrity.
Which leads us to the final provocative thought for you to consider. We just noted that the total landed cost is the lowest weighted factor at just 3% in the decision rubric. Given that reality that cost is secondary to risk, ask yourself this. What single factor, is it traceability, speed to market, or sustainability, do you believe is the biggest long-term threat to your new brand if it's compromised in the search for a lower unit price? Your answer to that question reveals the true underlying strategic vulnerability of your brand.